Hey, what's up everyone? Tim here from Everyday Tactical Vids, and today we're out on a beautiful New Hampshire morning looking at this right here, which is the LT Wright Overland Machete. I got this directly from LT after Blade Show 2016. We had struck up a bit of a conversation, then we emailed, and they sent this along for review. Very cool product. It has been used. You can actually see I haven't cleaned it up a ton since I have used it, but I think you're going to like what this thing has to offer. There are a couple different options as far as sheath systems, as far as handles, textures for the handles, colors for the handles. So you got a bunch of cool features that you can select as far as how you want it customized. And yeah, I'm more and more a fan of having kind of a smaller, more compact knife and then a machete or a chopping tool like this. And this thing definitely performs well. So let's talk through some of the details and then let's put this thing to use on camera. Some of your details here, your end-to-end length is 19 inches, your cutting edge is 12 inches. They do have a convex grind on this. 3/32 is your width. It is a 1075 USA made carbon steel. For your handles, you can have G10 or you can have micarta. This is micarta. The G10 handle, I'll roll in a picture here so you can see it, but it's got what they call their mountain tread. So it's a bit more aggressive, and there are a bunch of different color options as far as how that's actually set up. As far as your sheaths, it's two different options. You have a leather option and then a kydex option. They do have different features and functions, so we'll take a look at those right now. Here's a look at the first sheath. Obviously, this is the leather one. This is made by JRE Industries out of Chicago. This is made particularly for this this machete from LT Wright, so it's not like they have a generic sheath that they just put this machete into. This is specifically designed for this machete. So just good quality custom sheath, very durable. You have all these attachment points. There's the other side. I got the little logo there. As far as putting it on your belt, you've got the loop here, and then you've got a D-ring. So if you want to attach it to your belt like I have, it does allow it to move freely. If you want to basically push that down and get out of the way and then attach the whole thing to a pack, you can do that as well. You've got this bungee lanyard here on the machete, and then you've got a little loop right here that attaches, so you basically are keeping the machete in place. And I was walking with this today on the way to this location for the shoot, and it does move freely. If you want like a dangler system, this is definitely the option for you. So option number one for sheaths, this one is the leather one from JRE Industries. Here's your other sheath option. This is obviously the kydex. A couple features that are neat about this. So again, attachment points. You got tons of places to run paracord through if you want to attach this to a pack or something else. You can also see that this is exposed up on the top. Now I'll show you this when I take it off, but basically that allows you to flip this over, and with this 90-degree spine, you can use this as a draw knife, without cutting your hands or being worried about cutting your hands. The way it's set up is that it's open on the top, and this bungee goes over these two little sections, like 1, 2, and that's going to keep it from falling out. And then when you want to take the machete out, undo that, and you can draw it out this way. You can draw it out forward, however you want to do that. Putting it back in like so, slide it down, put this over, and now you're good to go. It does have sort of a dangler system here. Its attachment point is going to allow this thing to swivel, so it's not going to get caught up on your leg if you're climbing over something. All right, so we've got the machete here. As you can see, we've got the 90-degree spine. Let's just say I wanted to get a bunch of this birch bark. You could sit down and do it. I'm standing up, and I'm just kind of wedged it between my knees here. But I'm using the back of this to scrape and to get some of the birch bark off. So as you can see, that obviously definitely does work there with that 90-degree spine on the Overland Machete. So right here we've got some birch. Somebody was using this for a fire here at a local recreation area. So what I've done right now to show you is just we're going to chop in this. I've got this looped through like so. So just put my hand through and grab onto it. You can also, let me see if I can, yeah. So if you run your thumb through like so and then loop it around so this is over, and you can actually get it a little bit less twisted, I think here, yeah. So you can have it like that, and then you've got even better control of the machete. That makes you feel like you really got a good solid grasp on it. But let's just run it through normally like this now and chop this just to show you how it does the work that it does. I'm almost the whole way through. I'm going to change my grip just to mix it up a little bit here. And so we're doing this grip now. So there's that. One thing to mention to you is 1075 is a great steel for machetes and you know, basically tools that you're going to be doing more aggressive chopping with. Just going to it's going to resist that aggressive use a little bit more effectively. So as you saw, no problem. And this is, it's birch, so it's a softer wood, but it's definitely not, it's not like it's rotted or anything. It's definitely a very solid piece of birch, but pretty easy work for the Overland Machete. Just by the nature of what the weather's been, there's a lot of wood around here. Most of it's a little bit damp, but just to show you that if you had to, you could baton with the machete. Look at that. I'll see if this one breaks too. I think it's going to. So it certainly gets into the wood. In general, if I don't, you know, unless I'm in a really tough situation where I have to get to that inner dry wood, I'm going to avoid batoning with a machete. 330 seconds is fine to handle some of this, but I prefer 3/16 to a quarter and up from there for batoning usually. Yeah, my baton is just falling apart here, but it's definitely getting into the wood. Yeah, that wood is just damp. This one's a little bit damp, but it feels like a harder wood a little bit. Let's see here. Oh, my batons are so light. Yeah, this is definitely a harder wood. But there it goes. Here's a look here at some of the work the Overland Machete did with batoning. Let's do a little lower branch clearing here from a white pine. So if you know you were setting up a shelter here, didn't want to be poking yourself in the face, or you needed some of these sticks to get a fire going. Let's see how the LT Wright would do. Basically delimbing these lower dead branches. I have no concerns whatsoever. It's going to do awesome, but let's just show you. So yeah, as expected, definitely does the job. Just a quick look at me processing some wood here for the fire we're about to have. I'm going to be making a fire here in a minute, and there's a pine tree right next to me that's got a bunch of, not this one, but right next to me, that's got a bunch of resin coming out, and so I want to make kind of a little collection stick for some of that resin. So just to show you that, you know, some of this a little bit more detail work you can do. So right now you see I'm holding it with a normal hammer grip and just kind of slicing away some of the wood. You can chop just with the tip of it here. Get a little bit of a kind of a wedge there. I want to make it a little thinner. So there's that. Now we'll go collect a little resin. I'm going to give a shout out to, I think it's Craven Bushcraft, who showed this idea at one point on a video, and I thought it was a great idea that instead of getting your knife all dirty or your hands all nasty, you can do this to collect resin off a pine tree. What I've done now is I've got some birch bark. I've got actually some dried out goldenrod. I took that pine resin and rubbed it into some of the birch bark. I've got some smaller sticks, then for the rest of my fire, some larger ones. I've taken the machete off and I'm gonna use it. This is the safest way to do it with the sheath on. So I've got my fire still here, and we're going to get a fire started. Get a good grip on the fire steel. Lock this guy in with my knee. There we go. Let's put some of these small sticks on. So we processed some wood, we got some pine pitch using this little device that we created, all with the Overland Machete. We're moving into that time of day where the sun is kind of overhead. It's giving a lot of weird shadows, so I want to wrap up this video. But let me share some thoughts with you. First, the finish on this is a two-stage patina, and you can do that with apple cider vinegar and mustard. And so, as they noted at Blade Show when I first talked to them about this machete, you can clean this thing up with items that are already in your home. So that's nice. Let me give you a little bit of a close-up there so you can see what that looks like, even dappled in the sunlight. But you can see kind of a cool design. If you want something that's like, you know, got a perfect satin finish, this is definitely not the item for you. It has a little bit of a worn, you know, finish, but I think it's beautiful. I think it's actually really cool looking. My preferred grip, I usually prefer to hold a machete like this, but because this is a bungee, I have found that this style grip is actually giving me the most control when I'm chopping, when I'm using this thing pretty aggressively. Now, as far as the sheaths go, I prefer the leather sheath. I don't dislike the Kydex sheath. I just prefer the leather sheath. And the number one reason is the Kydex sheath, when I'm walking, has a little bit, just a tiny bit, but a little bit of a noise, kind of a click as it swings. And I just want my my gear a little bit quieter when I'm walking in the woods. So that being said, I prefer the leather, but the Kydex sheath does have the advantage as far as being able to do those draws, those draw cuts, and, you know, scraping and things like that. So that being said, just be aware that, you know, those are some of the things you may want to consider as far as the two different sheath setups. So as you saw, this thing did a wide variety of work, from some chopping tasks, some batoning, some of that more detail work to make that little resin collector, that 90-degree spine. You can use that to get a spark off your fire steel. I just like this thing. I just like it a lot. I was wondering if I got the mountain tread, you know, would it give me better grip? It probably would, because there's those contours. But I do think the micarta is nice, just because as far as long-term use, when you're really chopping with that thing, if you don't have gloves, that mountain tread I think might irritate your hand a little bit. This is just very, very comfortable to use it with this this style handle. As far as, you know, the different grips, obviously the straight hammer grip, just chopping with this, you can do the pinch grip here if you want to do some detail work. They were actually talking at the show about, if you run your arm all the way up like that, you can use the machete like this to do some work as well. So it just gives you a lot of options. And yeah, I just find that their gear overall is built really solid, and this thing does not disappoint. I've used it here on camera. I've also used it in other settings, and it just does a really nice job. And LT Wright does a good job standing behind their gear as well, so I don't think you're going to have any issues whatsoever. If by some chance you did, contact them, and they're definitely going to work with you. As far as your price point for this, you're starting at $115, and that is the machete with no sheath, and then it's going to go up to about probably the $180 range, depending on what style handle you get, what color you get, what type of sheath you get. Obviously, if you get multiple sheaths, it's going to, you know, run you a little bit more. But yeah, I have not been disappointed with this thing at all. I've really enjoyed using it. And what I'd like to see is actually a setup of like this, and then maybe one of their smaller knives, even the Genesis, which is not a tiny knife, but definitely smaller than this. But, you know, a good Bushcraft knife, or even a smaller knife, and then this as kind of a combo to get out into the woods and do some bushcrafting, survival type stuff. So this is my first LT Wright knife that I have used in a more extended fashion. I've seen some of the other ones, handled some of the other ones, but never had a chance to really get out and put them through the paces. This thing definitely does the job. So yeah, as far as a machete, I'm trying to think of the other machetes I have. I've got some other chopping tools that are a bit heftier, thicker than this. But as far as machetes, this one has, I think, risen to the top of the list for me in the machetes that I actually have. And I've tested a handful over the years. But this one just, yeah, I mean, I love the fact that it's custom. And $115, you know, plus your sheath, is a very reasonable price for what you're getting here. So I want to encourage you to check these guys out. I'm going to put links down below to LT Wright's website. You can head over there and, you know, purchase knives, machetes, other cutting tools as well. Once again, we've been looking at the LT Wright Overland Machete. If you want to see more videos, click right there. You got a bunch of options. You can head over to some other videos from Everyday Tactical Vids. Thanks as always for watching these videos. Please subscribe to Everyday Tactical Vids if you haven't done so already. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, check us on Instagram and Tumblr as well. More videos coming soon. Take care.